In this episode, I check out the salt works. I hang out with 100,000 seals. I ride to a mountain and have to make my way back to camp in the dark. Morning. Have woken up to some good news. The rain has stopped, but it is going to rain again this afternoon. I am staying just up the road, about 35 kilometres tonight. So I'm just going to try and get there while there is some, lack of rain. And then I'm going to have to bunker down for a few days. There was a lot of rain out there, a lot. And where I'm going next, a couple of the places where I was trying to get to, the rivers are high and there's going to be more rain coming from the mountains, so they're going to be flooded. So it looks like I'm going to have to bunker down for a few days at least, and then just work out where to go from there. Plans are going to definitely be changing. I got a message from Chris from Namibia Motorcycles. He had a friend named Gary who had been guiding through this region and further north for the past 30 years and knows the place like the back of his hand. He said I could drop by as he was happy to help me navigate the next section. Some of the streets were still flooded. It's always a bit sketchy riding through water when you can't see what's on the bottom. Gary has an interesting backstory. He'd left the UK as a young man and took over a decade to make his way down the African continent, doing all kinds of interesting things along the way. But once he got to Namibia, he realised it was the place for him and has been doing safari guiding ever since. In the last few years, he'd bought a boat from the other side of the world and sailed it back here and now lives on it. I pulled into the small harbour. Hi mate.
How you doing? Welcome, yeah.
I sat down and chatted with Gary.
Royal Enfield, I've got one myself, an old Bullet. So good to meet a fellow biker, and let's hope you get through all these rivers further north, because you're in a historic time for Namibia. We've not seen rains like this before. Speaking to a guy yesterday, 70 years old, he's never seen the rain we had here in 70 years. You're trying to get into the wilds of the northwest. Good luck to you. It's spectacularly beautiful, but I hope you're wearing your trunks, because all these desert rivers have come down, so you're in for a bit of adventure. So best of luck.
All right. Thanks, mate.
Take care. Good to see you.
Yeah.
I rode out with a better understanding of what to watch out for and places to ask what the road conditions were like ahead. He said the best and most accurate information you'll get from asking locals at certain points, as a lot of people pass on the road conditions when they've passed through them or if they'd been turned around. Gary also said I should check out the salt works, only 10 minutes from here, so I headed south. There was an esplanade in front of some nice looking homes and apartments. It's quite strange to see all this desert sand with small lakes of water in between. I wasn't really sure if the pipe was solid or not. Nope, it went flat to the dirt as I rode over it. Now that is some snow white salt for you. The track was a little muddy and boggy from the recent rains. I pulled over to check out the salt pans. The salt lakes owe their pink colour to microscopic algae and bacteria that thrive in high salt conditions, producing a red pigment. These pigments act like sunscreen, protecting the organism from the intense sunlight. Just a little further along the track was one of the longest rideable barreling surf breaks in the world, named Skeleton Bay. But as the surf was dead flat today, all I would see was a beach. So I headed back, past the big pile of salt, past the wet sand dunes, and through the still very waterlogged streets of Walvis Bay. Just north of the town, you have the Atlantic Ocean to the left and the Namibia Desert to the right. I had reached Swakopmund. Swakopmund translates to mouth of Swakop in German, which is this dry riverbed. The word Swakop is derived from the indigenous Sans word Exwaka, meaning rhinoceros, and Ob, meaning river, suggesting the area was once inhabited by rhinos along this riverbank. I checked in, got the key, and then made my way across the very rutted road. I had told them that my bike and gear was caked with mud. Luckily, they had a spot specifically to clean off all the mud and dirt. Thank you, sir. Yeah, I don't think they'd like me to drag these bags into the room and place them on the bed. 10 minutes later, I'd washed it all off and taken over the whole area. I've made it into my room at the Delight Hotel, and again, another really nice place to stay. It's got some bright colours on the wall, but that sort of fits with the whole town. It's really pretty. I have actually just quickly gone down to the store to get some more straps. If you remember when I was on the volcano, the extinct one, I went around a bush and there was a stake and it ripped the bags. I mean, a 200 kilo bike and me against that bag and a stake that was not going anywhere. So I'm just going to try and strap them up a bit better. As you might have seen, the roads are pretty rough. So over time, I just don't want them to fall totally apart before I finish. I'm not sure how long I'm going to be here. It all depends if more rain comes or not to what I do. If it stays dry, the rivers will subside. The roads might be a bit muddy, but eventually I'll be able to get through. If it rains again, that's a whole other story. I'm not sure what I'll do. Maybe this is the last episode. Let's hope not. Anyway, I'm going to sort out the rest of my stuff and have a shower, which is always good when you get to accommodation. And then, yeah, check out the town. I went to the beach where there was a jetty. Swakopmund is Namibia's fourth largest population centre, with around 75,000 people, and known as a beach resort town. It's characterised by its 19th century German colonial architecture. The city was founded in 1892 as the main harbour for German Southwest Africa, as it was known in that period. It's definitely not what you'd think a town in Africa would look like. Sea fog has started rolling in, which is a common occurrence along this coast. Morning. Well, I am going to spend another day and night in town, just to give those roads a little more chance to dry out and the river crossings to drop, hopefully. I was going to go a bit north of here, which is that direction, and to a place called Cape Cross. It has one of the largest seal colonies in the world. I think most of it's tarmac. I could be wrong. We'll find out. But then come back here. I was going to go from there to a campsite inland, but that road that's sort of halfway back, they say it's impassable at the moment. So come back here and then go the long way around tomorrow. I headed off north to Cape Cross. You get given a gate fob to get the bike out of the car park, which does keep it safe off the road. Workers were busy cleaning the large amounts of sand from the road that had been dragged onto it by the rain. reminds me a lot of the Californian coast down in San Diego, where they have, well, they call it May Grey or June gloom because of the temperature of the water and not coming off a desert. All this fog. I came across the town of, however you pronounce that. What I did notice was that every house had their own water tower to provide water and pressure in the taps. There was still a lot of surface water in this area too. I finally got to the end of the sealed road. And the road surface was pretty good. No issues riding on it at all. It felt like I was riding into emptiness. The surface was good enough to ride at 100 kilometers an hour. It didn't feel any different than the sealed road. Hills started appearing on the horizon. I made it to the turnoff to Cape Cross. I paid the small entry fee. I pulled up to the end of the Cape. Well, I finally made it to the Cape and I can smell them. I can definitely smell them. And they are noisy. Oh, there's a wave on. And I thought Snapper had a crowded lineup. There's thousands in the water. Absolutely thousands. The name Cape Cross comes from the Portuguese explorer Diogo Cao, who erected a padrone, which is a stone pillar with a cross on it, when he got to the Cape in 1486. The reserve is a sanctuary for the world's largest breeding colony of Cape fur seals, with up to 210,000 seals present during the breeding season in November and December. The reason they're here is the rich concentration of fish in the cold Benguela current. There are so many. It's got to be hundreds of thousands. They're everywhere. Up the beach, on the point. It's insane. Imagine the amount of fish that they eat each day. Lucky there's a big ocean out there. There was a walkway, as it was the only solid structure. All the fur they had shed had clumped up into big balls of fur. I got back on the bike and headed south. There were a lot of these displays of crystals on the side of the road. The locals had picked them up from the surrounding area and were selling them. There was no one here, so I gather it's done on an honour system. This was a dirt road I was going to take to my next camp spot, but the recent information I had said it was impassable. This is called the Skeleton Coast due to the whale and sea bones that once littered the shores when the whaling industry was at its peak. but also from the hundreds of shipwrecks along this coast. There was one more thing I wanted to check out. A quick stop at the most recent shipwreck along the Skeleton Coast. About 2008. There are about 300 ships known to have sunk off the Namibian coast, while there's evidence that there are at least another 200 ships that might have also been lost. The reason there are so many is a combination of thick fog, strong winds, heavy swells, and the shifting sands. This is the Zella, which was being towed to India to be scrapped, but the tow line broke, and this is where it washed up. The workers had finished cleaning all the sand from this road. Morning. Well, the plan today is hopefully a short one. Going to a place I can camp under a mountain they call the Matterhorn of Africa. So I'm on the main highway here, which is a sealed road, which is probably a good thing as I've strained the outside of my right foot somehow. I've tweaked it and it's flared up. So keeping off the rough stuff for a few days might help. Well, I won't injure it anymore. I can see I'm just getting out of the, we'll call it marine layer. Hopefully it's warmer up there because riding out of town it was quite cold. I was going to get another jacket. I think it's just under 200 kilometers to get there, with the last section being dirt. Apparently I should be able to get through after the rain. There's no major river crossings there. It's the next day that I may have some trouble. At the moment, some people are saying, yeah, 4 drives can get through, and others saying, no, you can't get through yet. So I do have a backup plan. Obviously getting back onto this road because it's tarred, and there is another one north again, but hopefully I can get through on the dirt because there's a couple other places that would be cool to see on the way through. If not, just gotta go with whatever happens. It didn't take long to get out from under the marine layer and into blue sky. So it was straight along the B2 main road, then a sharp turn back to the northwest. I then came upon more green from the recent rain. I've seen the Matterhorn, so I'm pretty sure this is it. See what it's like. I got to the turnoff but continued for a few kilometres, as there was a town where I could top up for fuel in case I did attempt the track north tomorrow, then got turned around and had to backtrack. Also, I was hungry. Once I was all sorted, I headed back to the turnoff. I got to my first sand pit. With my foot issues, this was going to be slow going, just crawling my way through them. I came upon a 4-wheel drive. I soon worked out why it was stopped there. One wheel was straight, and the other was pointing off to the side. I'd say they've hit a section of sand and broken off the steering arm. This is Spitzkoppe, which comes from the German word meaning pointed dome. I was sticking to the sidetrack as it wasn't corrugated like the main road. These mountains are an incredible sight to ride towards. I saw a sign to a campground, so I took it. I checked in, and one of the staff, Eddie, showed me where my camp spot was. At first, they seemed a bit worried, as the recent rain had taken away the power and water from most of the campsites. But I said that's fine. I don't normally camp where there's facilities like that, so without them was fine.
And unfortunately for the rain, no power but water. Yep. You can wash your dishes there. Yep. And if you like to eat with us, there's a restaurant. Okay. You can eat there, then you can walk back. And
that's perfect. Made it to the campsite, and that mountain is more spectacular close up. It's stunning. Campsite's not bad too. It's would have had power except for the rain, as you can see how much water's come through here. There would be no camping for a while. But it's more than I expected, so happy with that. And they do have a little restaurant thing there for food, so didn't really need to go to the fuel station to get something to eat, although I still got fuel. A lot of sand coming in. It's because of my foot being sore, I'm just taking it really easy and just cruising through, and I'm not great in the sand to start with, obviously. Big decision now, where to put the tent. Sun, I think, is going that way. There's some shade there. May have another tree behind it. I'm sure I'll work it out. Still getting used to the tent and which way around. I think that's the lower end. Maybe. Tent's up. I think I might actually leave everything on the bike, as I don't think anybody's going to take anything from around here. Just gives me more space inside the tent. Oh, and every bush or tree, you've got to be very careful around here, as they all seem to have thorns, like the one that's right above the tent. And they're not little thorns at all. I might go see what this little restaurant's about, as it might have a better view of the mountain as well. So I went over and checked out the small little restaurant, and they've also got cold drinks, which was nice. I did grab one. But I did bump into Eddie again, the guy who brought me over here, and I asked about the next leg. And he said he's going to go and find out from the next camp if anybody's come through, and if they know how difficult it was. Nobody came through yesterday. So right now, it's not looking great to be able to get through. But we'll see. I'll wait till he comes back and lets me know. But apparently I can actually ride around some of the mountain stuff. I'm not exactly sure where, but he said to go back out just this little entrance, across the river, and I can get in up here. So give the sun a little bit more time to come down and I'll go and have an explore. A track went off to my right, so I thought I'd check it out first. I then spotted one of the rock formations I wanted to check out, but there was a fence in the way. I gather that's why Eddie told me to go the long way around. So I headed back and out onto the main road again. There was a small boy tending to a herd of goats, with a few stragglers. Well, maybe a lot of stragglers. It probably wasn't the boy's job in hindsight. This riverbed seemed to cut through everything in this small village. When it flows, it must cause major havoc. I came to a small water crossing. The kids were pointing out which line to take, some to the left, some to the right. I went with the right. I got to the entry gate and paid the small entry fee. The granite rocks here are more than 120 million years old, and the highest peak is about 670 metres above the desert floor. A random fact, Spitzkoppe Mountains were used as a background for the film 2001, A Space Odyssey. Made it inside the park, and I didn't realise, I thought there was only one camp spot. You can actually camp inside the park. No real difference, I can still get in here till 10 o'clock, so I'm going to have a look at the arch. I made my way up the granite slab. As I came over the crest, I saw what I was looking for. So whatever I've done to my foot, it's not great for hiking. Now that is called framing a shot. There's no one here at the moment, but with a shot like that, I'm sure at sunset it might get crowded. Hopefully not. I'm just going to have a look up here, this next section. Hope there's an easier way down too. I think if I can get down here it'd be good. Oh. I walked up the slab of rock to get a better view of the granite mountains. They are stunning. I hobbled my way back down to the arch, just in time for that golden light. Then the sun dropped over the ridge. I headed back, but slowly. I wanted to take in these mountains, drenched in the golden hour light. Thank you. I made a quick stop at the office to get some more info. made my way back through the dark to the campsite. That was a fun sunset ride. Couldn't see anything, couldn't see what the sand was doing. Just went by feel, but made it and didn't fall off. Behind me are thunder clouds. It's lightning and So I stopped at the office up there and they said that the rivers that's along this road is still flowing and cars haven't come through. So there is an alternative to get around. I'm going to take that way, and then there's a town halfway up. I'll ask there if I can get through. If I can't, then I'll just keep heading north to try and get to Etosha National Park. Oh well, gonna leave it there till tomorrow. We'll see what happens.
Oh my love.
In the next episode, it's a sandy start to the morning. It gets very windy. I hang out with the most chilled out meerkat and I attempt to cross a sandy river crossing.
No, my love.